Do you want to be a shark like Barbara, Kevin, or Mark? Well, I've got a pitch that's going to make you feel like a genius. Imagine this. Just 10 minutes a day with this game-changing journaling habit will bring you clarity and have you brimming with billion-dollar ideas faster than Mr. Wonderful can say, I'm out. Here's the deal. I'm seeking full funding. In return, I'll give you a whopping 1% of my profits.
Or if you're trying to save marine life or trying to impress Mensa.
Perfect. Mystique is part of the pitch. I'm definitely ready for my Shark Tank audition.
Welcome to the Career Corrective, your career lifeline that gives you laugh lines with Jenny and Allie.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are continuing our series on habits.
Ooh.
We're going to talk about Atomic Habits, the book we mentioned in our last episode. And of course, every episode is one we create for you, our anxious achievers. But I think today is going to be a little more helpful than normal. Whether you've read the book or not, do not worry. We've crafted our topics today to bring some good insights to you that you can carry with you throughout your week. Either way. But, before we get into that, Jenny, I have something different that I thought would be fun.
You do?
Yeah. I don't think our listeners know that in addition to Greek yogurt and all things food, we love to chat about home decor, home design.
Yes.
I pulled some info from all different places, a little bit of Better Homes and Gardens, Pinterest, HGTV, and thought I could go through what the trends are right now, throw them at you, and then we could just chat through.
Okay. Love it.
Right now, they're saying a blend of timeless elegance and personalized expression is what it's all about. So in the latest in interior design, number 1 is embracing timeless style. Homeowners are gravitating towards the traditional details and materials that exude a sense of enduring elegance. It's called quiet luxury, emphasizing quality craftsmanship and classic design elements, creating spaces that feel sophisticated and inviting.
Yeah. I mean, timeless is always the way to go. That's how I feel. And I like it when you do timeless pieces and then add in your own little flair. Like you introduce that. It gives it more of an eclectic vibe.
I think I've seen from your decor that you'll throw in the flair that are maybe more relevant to a specific time with things that you can change out. Pillows, things for the top of the table. You'll bring it in that way, and then you can always switch those out.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I would say my style right now, it's mid-century modern meets beach, but without being overly beachy.
You don't have a sign that says, my happy place is the beach?
No, I don't have any signage.
You don't have to. I know. Your happy place is the beach.
Yes.
I had a friend tell me that my style is classic and cozy.
Yes, it is. Oh, I love it. You're very neutral, which I appreciate.
Oh, yes. I'll bring in a splash of color, maybe through artwork.
Mhm.
Other than that, like all shades of cream and black.
Yeah, I love it. And then you bring in some warm woods as well, which is very nice. You do that very well.
There's a hotel in Lake Placid, New York.
Yes.
I think it's called the Lake Placid Lodge. We don't stay there because it's not right in the town, but we venture out there to go to the grounds, walk around, go for lunch. The first time I walked in there, I thought, I wish this was what I could do with my house. They mixed together very neutral stone and wood and elegant materials. A rustic take on it, but it felt very rich with the materials. But then they mixed together there was a plaid couch with an animal print backing to it, something I never would have chosen, and it looked so amazing, beautiful and varied, different, almost like I dressed when I was a child.
Yeah, different patterns you threw together, but it all worked.
I don't know if it worked in my case when I was a kid because my sister used to cry at some of the outfits I would choose to wear. I would work a Garanimals print top with plaid leggings and walk out of the house like I owned the world.
Well, that's half of it is the confidence.
Confidence, yep.
And to pull it off. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I was pulling it off, but I felt really good. Good about it. But Lake Placid Lodge really did pull it off. It was beautiful.
I love Lake Placid.
Such a nice getaway.
It really is.
And we always talk about how much we love Florida and the warm weather, but with Lake Placid, the reason it's awesome is, well, so many reasons, but they are prepared for the weather. You cannot sneeze without finding a fireplace. They're everywhere. They're inside. Right. They're outside.
I know.
They just make it so cozy. Everywhere is cozy. Even I was there one time when it was below 0. Freezing cold. You can walk on the lake, all of that. And we still had a great time, and we went out at night because they have everything set up to make sure you don't have to go too long without warming up. So it's still great.
It is so much fun.
Next on our list, personalized spaces with vintage flair. There's a growing appreciation for curated personal spaces adorned with vintage and thrifted pieces. Yeah. Incorporating well-worn leather chairs, vintage mops, or eclectic frames infuses home with character and tells a unique story. This is the voice I need to give you this trend in home decor. What do we think of this? I love a vintage map, and I love maps.
I was just going to say, you have a vintage map.
Oh, right. Yeah, I didn't realize that was vintage. And I love a well-worn leather chair.
It's like your grandpappy's chair. He used to smoke cigars, and he used to sit there and tell stories and smoke cigars.
Our grandfather really did smoke cigars.
He did.
Yeah. I think we've said before on here that we're cousins, but if we haven't, we're cousins, and we had a grandfather who smoked cigars, and he was adorable. And he had a hairline till the day he died.
He sure did. We used to call him Poppy. Great memories. He always wanted to buy his kids dogs. Remember? We were all, I'll get you a dog.
The next one is warm and inviting color palettes. The shift from cool tones to warmer hues continues, with colors like chocolate brown gaining popularity. These shades add depth and coziness, making spaces feel more intimate and welcoming.
I think your home in New York had, do you remember that chocolate brown you picked? Oh my gosh. It was perfect though. It was a black brown.
I went to a restaurant in our town after we painted, and the color of the furniture, they painted their chairs and their tables, a little cafe.
Yeah.
The exact same color. The owner of the cafe, they had just opened, and she came over to take our order, and I said, "This is so funny. I just was looking at paint swatches for the past month, and I chose a color just like this for an accent wall in our house." And she said, "Oh, is it whatever the color was?" I don't remember at the time. And I went, "Oh, that's exactly." So we use the exact same paint color.
Oh my gosh. Both have good tastes.
But the room was a huge wall with a huge fireplace, and the wall, this was an old farmhouse, and they knocked out so many walls before we got there. They left everything original in it though, and the fireplace was the biggest fireplace I've ever seen. We painted the wall behind it this deep brown, as Jenny said, kind of like black and brown mixed together. And then the fireplace was cream. So it really popped, and it was a cozy.
It really was.
That fireplace was the best part of that house.
That fireplace was amazing.
Then we got the fireplace insert with the blower, and it would pump out some major heat.
Yeah.
Next on our list is curved furniture and organic shapes. Moving away from sharp edges, interior designs are featuring curved furniture and organic shapes, rounded chairs, circular coffee tables, and arched doorways, contributing to a soft, relaxed atmosphere. What do you think of that, Jenny?
I like it. I think it's nice to have a mix, though.
Oh, tell us more about that.
Just mix. You can still do the sharp edges on some pieces, and then it's nice to have some curved as well.
Oh, okay. A coffee table that's round with some end tables that are rectangle and more modern.
Right. Or a chair. You could do the curvy chair. Mix it up.
A curvy chair in the corner like you have.
Yeah. I think matchy is kind of overdone. I think it's played out a little bit. The days of everything matching.
Never really my vibe, but you do
No.
you, whoever you
That's
want.
true. That's true. I'm not judging.
But I think it is time for our segment. Speaking of judges.
In today's segment of You Be the Judge, we're going to chat through the themes of Atomic Habits, the book. You be the judge whether these concepts could be useful to you. Chapter 1, The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits. James Clear introduces the concept of atomic habits, which are tiny changes when compounded over time can lead to remarkable improvements in your life. He emphasizes the importance of focusing on the system of habits rather than big dramatic changes. I like that. He stresses that progress isn't always immediately visible, but persistence will yield noticeable results over time.
This is like the Hallmark movies.
Dude, the holiday ones or just like regular?
Or any romantic comedy. When I used to watch these, I would think, why do they have to do the middle part?
Right.
Where we don't know what's going to happen. We came home from our big city job, and the guy who we used to have a crush on in high school now just happened to move home.
Yeah.
And we're going to get together by the end of the movie, but there's this whole middle part. And then I realized, oh, the middle part are the incremental changes leading up to, there's not going to be a big dramatic change. So if you had the beginning of the movie where she's stressed, the main character is always very stressed.
Yes.
And she's always just, I have too many deadlines, Mom. I can't take time out for the holidays. But then she makes it home. And when she comes home, there's always someone there that she's afraid to see.
There's so much history there.
There's so much history.
She used to be attracted to, the typical Wall Street suits kind of guy, but now she saw Billy, and I don't know, there's just something about the way he wears a flannel shirt now.
Right.
That's her scene.
The 5 minutes at the beginning and then the 5 minutes at the end, I would think that's the movie, but it builds up. She has to slowly see and realize things one at a time, but within 2 hours in this case, because it's a movie.
Right.
It's a fun way to think of when you're working on something and you're building these habits, that system that you create and the little changes, you don't feel it. When you're doing real work like this, you're becoming an evolved version of yourself by creating systems and new habits. There isn't this big feeling that you think is coming. And a lot of the process, and I'm really selling it here, you think, is this even worth it? Am I even going to get anywhere with this? And you will, but it's because of building slowly and emerging. And then if you fall off of your path, you can get right back on because there's small incremental changes that you're working on, not big swooping thing that you're doing. I
Right.
love the whole concept.
I do too. Yeah, it makes it a little less scary as well. There are some surprising powers that come along with small changes. It's about finding ways to care for yourself that align with your life and values. For example, instead of setting a goal like, I got to get fit, you can aim to take 5-minute walks after dinner each evening, which is also good for your digestion, by the way. Yeah. Over time, this small habit might grow into a 30-minute evening routine.
I've used this for myself and in coaching. Most recently, my sister decided after 20 years that she wanted to take the bar exam, and I had the honor of coaching her to prepare. She was an A student all through school, high honors. After law school, she decided, I am not a lawyer. Struggled with that because it's this identity crisis of, I just went to law school. She did great in law school, but then her personal life evolved from there, and she worked in the legal field. Then it became, I think, more so, I'm too busy and I'm kind of avoiding it. I don't know. It was this gray area of, I'll get back to it. And about a year ago, she told me that she really wanted to do it. And I asked her, could we work together on it? And she agreed. And we worked from that perspective. Here we have 6 months. We made our plan, but it was really about prioritizing her needs. And that's what it came down to. She has a family now and other responsibilities. And we worked on creating a plan where she stuck to following through for herself was really the focus of the studying, and the self-care plan that we developed to go alongside of that really were coming down to, this time in your life is prioritizing your needs and these incremental changes and habits that you're creating. Now, she and I are still working together, and we're continuing that progress through just life changes, which is amazing and inspiring. And she passed the bar.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Oh, by the way, she passed the bar. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, all the things you learned about yourself. And everyone's like, yeah. She passed the bar. That's the main point. But it is all wonderful. And it's totally from the Atomic Habit approach, the way we did things. And
Yeah.
she nailed it.
She did nail it. So proud.
Yes.
The next one is to focus on the system, not the goal. Building habits starts with designing an environment and routine that makes self-care inevitable. For example, creating a me time corner at home, small, inviting space with a cozy chair, a candle, your favorite book or journal, whatever you picture your me time corner. It's there to be a signal to yourself that you deserve quiet moments.
Continuing with the example of working with my sister, this was just as much a part of her studying as the actual books and the plan to hit her timelines each week. We broke down a system. She had all these meditations on audio that she did, and we created a whole toolkit for her. The other piece is to remember, it worked really well for her, is to do something that appeals to you that day. So if you're making this me time corner, that's wonderful, because that does signal to yourself, that's where I go and take this time that is so necessary. But have it be a million different things in there. It could be a book, a journal, a cup of tea, a yoga mat, a nap pillow. You might be exhausted. Go take a rest.
Listen to some of your favorite music.
Maybe some Enya.
Maybe Yanni. I don't know. Next up is compounding habits for exponential growth. Small acts of self-prioritization will build momentum. For example, if you struggle to fit exercise into your day, start with 1 to 2 stretches each morning. This might grow into a 5-minute yoga routine and eventually into a regular fitness schedule.
I think this goes along with self-compassion, and that may seem like a stretch, but I'm always looking for my next workout, trying to stay consistent. Consistency is queen.
Yeah.
And when I look back on my life where I've done poorly with this, and something I'm very mindful not to do anymore, is I would make grandiose, sweeping plans.
Right.
It would be perfect. I'm up at 5. I mean, I still get up at 5. But it would be, I'm going to do an hour of this. It's going to be 4 times a week. It was so rigid, and there was no room for being human in there. And some people can do that. That's not me. So I would be perfect for 3 months, and then I would be exhausted. And then I would be down on myself for not doing it for a day, which would spiral into a week or so, and I would go off of my routine.
Right.
Now, what I do first is I'll say, what do I feel like doing this morning? The only thing I committed to is moving my body. So if that means a walk when I'm up at 5, I have my gear, my safety gear.
Right.
And it's going to be lifting weights or yoga or riding my bike or a simple walk. It doesn't matter. Self-compassion, because before it would be, if I'm not sweating, then it's not a workout. If it's not this, then it's not a workout. And that is the opposite of building habits. You don't give yourself the chance to get on a good momentum and compound the habits, like he says, for exponential growth. And the growth that I've seen for myself in doing this, having self-compassion, and self-compassion isn't letting yourself off the hook in a way that makes it unhealthy, though. And I think that's where I used to get lost, is if I say this healthy thing is going to happen and it doesn't, that's very black and white with no wiggle room. And when I would peter out of inspiration, I would not do anything. But this is, hey, I love you, self. So if you feel like a walk is best, then that's what we're going to do. But see, the cumulative effect would be that when I'm having compassion for myself, if we look at the 6-month review, I actually exercised more by being compassionate and keeping it small.
It takes the pressure off of it and makes it fun. There doesn't need to be any sort of negative thoughts around this.
Right.
This is for you. The next one is to make it visible. You may benefit from physical reminders that reinforce your habits. Place a gratitude journal by your bed or a sticky note on your mirror with an affirmation, you are worth 10 minutes of quiet today.
Anything that helps, I'm all for it. I think this all has to work together. Going back to what I just said about working out, the cues are only going to work and the gentle nudges are only going to work if you're in that mode to be compassionate to yourself and to see that having compassion for yourself and accepting that you're a human, then all of these tips will be worth it. If you are in a different mode, then you can do all these things as much as you want, and it's not going to keep you where you want to be.
That's right. Next, we're going to pair habits with things you love. Combining habits with enjoyment makes them easier to stick with, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you love coffee, for example, start a habit of journaling 3 positive things about yourself while sipping your morning cup, or pair a walk while listening to your favorite audiobook.
Yes. We talked about this a little bit on the last episode. So the only thing I'll add is anything that has to do with self-care. It's been a huge help to me, and pairing it with things that I love or making it small and making it simple, that I guess you could say atomic. It's been the most beneficial thing that I've tried, and it's been the most beneficial thing that I've seen in helping people with even their work goals. And all of what we're talking about here does go back to your career and work. We're just focusing in on the root of it for you, because this is where we need to start to then continue on throughout to show you how this can feed into being so much more effective in whatever you want to happen in your work life.
Right. Simplify and reduce friction. Making self-care easier removes excuses. Prep your gym outfit the night before or use a meal delivery service to ensure that you have healthy meals readily available. Set boundaries on your calendar with a do not disturb, doing whatever you need to do to make sure that you're accomplishing what you want, right?
Yeah, actually, I did this with my sister. We were talking about how it was going to be hard for her to take on this huge goal of the bar exam, which
Right.
of course.
Yeah.
But I would say, think about people who have more obstacles to climb. This is inspiring to me. There's always an excuse that you can make. There's always a way to reduce friction to make it easier. So you may have to get up at 4:30 or 5, and you may have to give up your weekends to accomplish this goal. But think about people who have English as a second language, or think about people who don't have financial resources to buy the study materials.
Yes.
They have to study with what they can find online that's available for free. Just motivate yourself to simplify and reduce friction. Go after that goal like it's life or death. Do you want this? And do you want it in a way that you'll do what it takes to get those obstacles out of your way? If you're doing it proactively, then you're going to simplify and reduce friction, and you're going to have gratitude while you're doing it. I'm grateful to be exhausted by 10 a.m. I'm grateful for that. I'm so happy about that.
Well, you could turn it around and say, hey, I'm grateful that I got the DoorDash annual pass so that I can have my meals delivered to me so I don't have to cook.
I love that, Jenny. That is exactly right.
No, I know it defeats the purpose.
It's a great idea.
No, I know, but a lot of people don't have the financial means for it. It's appreciate your resources and how you can use them.
There's always somebody with more and there's always somebody with less. But the point is, what are you doing and how can you customize it to you and work from where you are? And if you look around to see what other people are dealing with, it's just a nice reminder of like, okay, could be more challenging. So let me do the best with what I've got.
Yes. Oh, I like this one. It's to celebrate progress. Small rewards reinforce habits. To reinforce a small reward, whatever you want. You could treat yourself to a relaxing bath.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy. If you think about all of this in the long term, these little habits are stepping stones or they're building blocks. Let's think of a house. The habits are the bricks, and they are going to, over time, as you build them, you're going to have a solid foundation. And that's why they're so important. And the other thing is you're kind of building your foundation without even having to realize it. So Jenny mentioned before, don't make the workout something that is a chore, make it fun. It's the same type of thing of if you look at what you want to do to get to a certain place, these habits, then you're going to build all that up. And then eventually you're just going to be capable as a result. You're not focused so much on the end game. It's about, I'm building these habits. We'll see where it goes. And now I'm able to take a bar exam and pass it. If I wanted to be in shape, well, I'm going to build all these habits and I'm actually near my goal. I wasn't so focused on that. It's a really inspiring way to do it. And you deserve to prioritize yourself.
Yes, you do. Yes.
Chapter 2 continues what we were just talking about, framing your habits around your identity. To give you some context, Clear argues habits are essentially votes for that type of person you want to be. So instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, think of yourself as a runner and let the habits align with that identity. I really love that.
Ooh, I do too.
Build habits that start with identity-based goals, not outcome-based goals. I've helped people with this in advocating for themselves at work when I've coached them. In thinking about who they want to be, we've talked about, for example, if somebody wants to not overwork as much, they come to me and they're saying, I have had all this work dumped on my plate. I'm sick of it. I'm working way too many hours and my boss just keeps piling things on. So one of the things we'll talk about together is, okay, do you want to be the person that people see as the easygoing, oh, she'll do it, oh, he'll do it, they'll take it on, we can just give that workload to them? Or do you want to be the person who is hardworking yet respected? And first we have to get that sorted of who do you want to be at work?
Right.
Oftentimes they'll say, I can see now I've been that person who's putting out that identity that I am the helper to a fault. So I'm not helping my own situation. And I do want to be good at my job, but also I want them to know you can't just pile things on me. So we work from there and then make the plan of what we're going to do to get there so that they are not taking on too much anymore at work, aligned with who they want to be. In so many cases, it's so hard to know that you're doing that you're giving people that impression.
So you could think of it as you're playing a character, right? This is the character that you want to become. Maybe if you play that part for a while, you'll eventually become it.
That's a great way to look at it. Think of if you have been this way for however many years you've been alive or however many years you've developed these habits, you can't expect to snap your fingers and become different. That's not reasonable. But like Jenny said, if you think of a character, maybe it's pieces of someone you admire, and then maybe you'll figure out how you mix who you want to be with an example of a character. And then you think, at work, I have to teach people who I am. So right now I'm this character. I'm respected. I am hardworking, but I know my boundaries, and that's who I am at work right now. And then you can have a lot of ideas to work from because you understand the core of it rather than just thinking, how do I respond to this? How do I respond to that? What do I do now? So
Right.
The character is a great way, Jenny.
Thank you. Next one is to build confidence through action. Habits that align with your identity will boost your confidence. As you vote consistently for the type of person you want to be, your beliefs in yourself will grow.
I think nothing is more powerful than action. We've talked about self-sabotage and how your subconscious can take over, overthinking. You want to feel safe, so you talk yourself into things, but staying in a small cycle of active states. I did this small habit. I moved my body this morning like I intended to. That was the action. And then I carry through with how good that made me feel. I'm excited to go back and do it again because I made the goal small enough and achievable enough that morning so that the rest of the day I feel great. That gives me incentive. I'm creating a positive cycle, a cyclone of positivity.
My goodness, yes.
You're going to build so much data from that. If you go and do something that feels good in moving your body, as an example, every day for 30 days, that will lead to 60 days to 90. And then you catch up with somebody you haven't seen in a while and you start talking about your life. You are somebody who exercises every morning. That's who you are at that point.
Right.
And that's the identity you carry. And that's the confidence you get through action that he's talking about. That becomes your identity.
That's right. With that, you're going to have to overcome identity conflicts. You might hold on to outdated or conflicting identities that prevent the change. For example, if you've always thought of yourself as too busy to exercise or someone who puts others first, it's time to rewrite your narrative. I am someone who takes time for what matters, or I prioritize myself so I can give my best to others.
You brought up a great point about this already, Jenny. I think it's crucial when we think about this because in the book and a lot of advice, it talks about challenge your own limiting beliefs about yourself and replace them with empowering ones, but that's easier said than done. I think a great way to get through to this eventual state is to be the character. Start behaving in a way that aligns with who you wish you were. Then you have the luxury of customizing it to something that works for you. Pick somebody you admire, create space in your life to do that, and then tell yourself, eventually I'm going to feel like this person. And honestly, the feeling that way it's not as important as being that way, because being that way will 100% of the time eventually lead to feeling that way. It at least gets you on the playing field to be able to deal with all the other stuff that's going on there. So I go back to the one you just went over prior, which is build confidence through action as a way to overcome your identity conflict.
The next one is inspirational framework. Who you are becoming matters more than what you achieve. Let your habits reflect the amazing person you already are and the person you are growing into. That gets me. That gets me, because you are amazing and you're going to grow into somebody who's even more amazing.
I've seen this happen with, I can't say I've seen it happen with myself, but definitely people that I've helped and coached, is they don't understand how amazing they are. And it's not just this, you're so amazing.
Right.
But what really is happening when somebody chooses to identify what they want to go for or who they want to become, it really is their truth. Their truth is at their core, and they've been off course of their truth for a multitude of reasons. This isn't, I don't want to reduce it to be something that's so simple. Oh, find out what's at your core, and then you put it on your wall and say you're going to go for it, and then you're going to do it. No. But
right now,
you think people, when we work together, they'll come to me for something that is usually completely unrelated to what they really end up going for. And that is why our podcast is called The Career Corrective. And today we're talking about atomic habits. And we've not mentioned career hardly at all, because these are the pieces. This is the way we do things. This is the way we make these changes, is you have to make them meaningful to you in any area of your life to be more effective and long lasting, to bring that back to the workplace if that's your choice. And if you think about who you're becoming, like this one says, and remind yourself of that, in my mind, you're finally stepping into your stride of being who you are without all of the external noise.
Well put. Let's dive into chapter 3, the 4 laws of behavior change. James introduces the 4 laws of behavior change, a framework you can use to create good habits and break bad ones. The laws: make it obvious. Design your environment to make the habit visible and unmissable. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Reduce friction and simplify the process and make it satisfying.
Let's walk through, for our listeners, if you're up for it, Jenny, an example to bring these to life. They might want to try out a few of them, so this could make it a little easier. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to continue with exercising because I think it's a universal one.
Yes.
Okay. Round 1, make it obvious. How can you make this habit visible and unmissable?
Scatter weights and your workout clothes all around your house. I want you to hang up posters of athletes and of the Bowflex. We were talking about decor earlier. And if you do this, it is very eclectic. Not so much cozy vibes.
I did my Bowflex painting in a chocolate brown.
Joking aside, maybe it would just be setting up a little area of your bedroom where you have your workout gear.
Yeah.
All ready to go. You pack it the night before.
I think it works. You have to pair it with, okay, all I'm doing is I'm going to throw that workout gear on and I'm going to move my body for 5 minutes. It's got to be something that you feel is really achievable and motivates you to want more. If that's the attitude you have toward the cue that you're making, then you're going to be much more likely to put the clothes on and actually use them. Number 2, make it attractive. Create a workout playlist. Yes. In exercising, think of the wording that they're using in the book, make it attractive. So if you're creating a workout playlist, I've done this to myself, so that's why I'm saying this, where I'll make the workout playlist, but then I'm so rigid on the workout. I'm nervous. I'm dreading it. And once I changed that to say, I'm setting my alarm for 4:50, which I know sounds nuts, but I'm up at 5 and this is for me. This is my time. Just like the Goonies. This is my time down here.
Yes.
And you make it an attractive concept in the first place. You're going to think by day 3, oh, I'm so grateful that I get this time for myself. Whereas before, when I used to force myself to work out and it was a workout that was going to get results and it was just such a push, and I laid out the workout clothes, I would look at them and I would feel tight, stressed.
Right.
You can do all these things, but I'm really hammering home underneath it. Make it a little practice for yourself that's just sacred and for you. And you will start, well, from what I've seen for myself and I've seen others, you will start to see it as your little special thing that gives you a leg up on your day.
Yes.
Okay, number 3, make it easy. How can you reduce friction or simplify the process to make the habit easier?
Sleep in the gym. There you go. That's easy. You're already there. Sleep in your gym clothes.
Number 4, make it satisfying. What reward or feedback loop can reinforce this habit? Use a habit tracker is an example they give to check off completed workouts and watch your streak grow.
What about new sneakers? You get the nice sneakers that you've always wanted. Yes.
Well, we hope those were helpful. Really what we're getting at here, small, consistent improvements matter most rather than massive, sudden efforts. And by focusing on who you want to become and understanding how those habits can support you are a great start. Thinking about that, doing maybe a little something in that direction rather than feeling forced.
Feel free to write us if there's anything that you've tried or you let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Or if you have any recommendations on sneakers or gear,
Yes.
anything fun, any good songs for your playlists, we'd love to know all about you.
Definitely.
We are continuing our series of habits in our discussion next week. This was really the foundation of the book where he sets you up for success. And then next time we're going to continue on and get into some juicy, fun, exciting, and hopefully helpful nuggets from James Clear's Atomic Habits.
I really love this one. James knows what he's talking about.
Right. Very powerful and universal. Can use it anywhere in your life. And we'll tie it in at the end of the series to bring it to life in the workplace after we build with these fundamentals here. That's all we have for this week, everybody. Thank you again for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week. But until then, have a great week, and we love you.
We love you. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.